Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to Looking Ahead, the series where I break down and analyse the meta, what's happening over Japan, and how it'll impact our one. And today we'll talk about how the Shrouded Fable meta is really starting to shape up over Japan. Me personally, I've done a lot of testing in this format, and I want to see if it's actually going to be rewarded by looking at where I think some of the best decks are right now in Japan, by looking at results from the gym challenges. There is definitely a clear BDIF. Charizard Dusknoir is leaps and bounds better than nearly every other archetype, but what are other decks really kind of like trying to keep up with, and how is that playstyle going to affect? Plus, got to talk some brand new cards as well, which will be released in our September set, and some of them are shaking up to be very, very cool. If you've been enjoying my content so far, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's jump right into these brand new cards. So we have Apex, which is another one of these stellar Pokemon, which is kind of like the new phenomenon which I'm trying to test out, and it's kind of okay. A fire double colors 280 damage, but it can't use Flare Blitz Strike next turn. And for a fire, fighting, and darkness energy, it's at 180 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Not a terrible snipe, but that's a lot of energy requirement. It is a stage 2, but 280 for fire double turbo, basically 260, isn't terrible, and it could see some play in that sort of way. There could be even some damage modification with Monkey Dory to move it around, and even having the likes of Magma Basement. So Cinderace X, there could be something there. But honestly, it's just very cost effectively. But it's a free retreat. So again, there's stuff to consider for this card. Ladian, I am a very big fan of this card. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with 90 HP or less remaining into the active spot. This is gusting effect on a Pokemon, which is honestly incredible. Plus, it has a Shred attack, which does 70 damage and goes through anything. So this Ledian is really good and such a good grass support. Now, this can be played in nearly any other deck which pretty much you always could be two-shotting. This Ledian is a very good inclusion. It could be used in just a plain grass deck, or just generally it's a guaranteed 1/1/1 gusting effect. 1/1 gusting effect could be a very powerful one. Even Churro to like bring it up to go additional gusting as well. This could definitely see some play, especially with the free retreat. It's a very good pivot. Drifloon has a very fun attack. Everyone explode now. 50 damage for each Drifloon and Drifloon we have in play. So basically 200 damage maximum. But if you do this attack, it does 30 damage to each of your Drifloon and Drifloon in play. So 200 damage for one energy is still not too bad, but you have to guarantee to have every one of them out in play. Luckily it's Drifloon or Drifblim. This could see some deck. I mean, you can either run it with likes of Dusknoir to deal additional more damage, or Monkey Dory to move around some damage counters around. Throw all fun things around this of archetype. This could see some play, but maybe not, but it's just a fun, maybe a pre-release deck. Credelli, I feel like it's a little bit of a return to Cloth. Once during a turn, you may flip a coin. If heads, choose Burn, Confuse, or Poison. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now affected by that condition, and then Marshy wins 100 damage times for each special conditions affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, if you play Brute Bonnet and you have the Credelli out in play as well, you could potentially get like 2 special conditions on your opponent's active Pokemon, and even Radiant Sneasel, even that new Stadium card, you'll be doing quite a lot of damage for this one. It is, again, a stage 2 Pokemon, so it can be a bit tricky to kind of get up, but honestly, this could be the return of the likes of a new Cloth deck. So very exciting to see that kind of come into fruition. Now we've got a new one, which is a new archetype, this Cofall, and 2 Pokemon that kind of go around with it. Cofall has a supporter which put 2 cards from your hand at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then draw 4 cards, but you can't if you can't put the 2 cards at the bottom of your deck, you can't play this card. So this is not too bad. We've seen this effect in the likes of Claydol with that amazing ability in the 2010 sort of era for Worlds. But what makes this so powerful is the 2 other Pokemon it can attack with the ability Prep Work. The attack used from this Pokemon is 1 color thirst for each Cofall card in your discard pile. If you have all 4 of them in discard pile, basically they can either attack for free or for 1 energy. Crabominal does 250 damage for a water energy and 4 colors energy. So again, if you've got 4 Clawful, that's 1 water energy, and it can't use the attack next turn. Or you've got Visa, which has 110 damage and isn't affected by any effects on the opponent's side for 4 colors energy. Again, if you have this call in the discard pile, that's basically for free, and you do 110 snipe. No, snipe goes through anything. That's pretty good right now. I could see this as some sort of play, but they need to be guaranteed good ways to discard. We do have likes of Adventure Discovery, we do have Earthen Vessel, we have Ultra, we have multiple discarding effect cards to get as many of these in the discard pile as possible. So I could see this be a fun, again, little pre-release deck, little rogue archetype. We might get some more other cards of this sort of effect in the future, so let's just tune in to see exactly how Pokemon wants to play this out. So we've talked about some of these new cards. Some of them are very exciting. They're going to be released in a few weeks in Japan, and for us, it'll be after Worlds in September time. But let's look about what some of the best decks right now in Japan are. So if we actually look at this little breakdown about what the most played archetypes are, we can see in the S tier it's Charizard and Regidrago. These two cards are a huge threat to the metagame. Charizard we talked about a lot about last week, and you guys seem to really enjoy that. And I'm actually be working on my next mastering video talking about Charizard Dust Noir. I've been a big fan of this archetype, and I kind of want to help with the community to talk to them about how I will pilot one of the best archetypes right now. And you guys love the mastering videos as well, so I really hope you guys enjoy that. Regidrago gains a huge buff, obviously with likes of the Haxorus and Kyurem. Instant KO if the opponent has a special energy, and 110 snipe to 3 Pokemon, which is really scary about for Regidrago. The tier 2 is definitely they still love the Dragapult, focusing more on the Zatu build, but there are some interesting ways around it. Raging Bolt, Gardevoir, and Lucas still doing very well, and into sort of like the B tier, their tier 3, they got Lost Box, Shien Pao, likes of Gholdengo, and Roaring Moon as well. All of these decks I see a huge merit. We may notice the likes of the Giratina and Vistas kind of like fallen from the prey in Japan. I still think it's very good, but Giratina has seen more success in the likes of Regidrago try and get these big instant one-hit KOs. So let's break down some of these new listings. I'll give my thoughts and feelings about where I think the meta is slowly going. So if we see Charizard, this is pretty much nearly exactly how I will play Zard right now. So we have got a few things here which is very different. There's no fish, and there's also a one-way split of the Pidgeys. I think a 60 HP is definitely the best way to play this build right now because of how scary Dusclops really is. Putting 5 damage counters on when the Pidgeys get a prize card that way is very devastating, especially in the mirror match or any sort of way around it. So kind of going away with it is pretty good. They do for that one-way split. I purely think the basis that they want to have that call for family still have access to them, which is a very powerful one if you go second. Having a 2/2/1 of Dust Noir, I really like. Having more access to pretty much threatening, saying I can get 2 Dusclops out, I can also get a Dust Noir as well. It's so frightening to kind of like utilize these effects out of nowhere. I think Unfair Stamp is the best aspect, a really good disruptive supporter, and the 3/3 split of Arvin and Iono is very nice. No Luminion, I definitely think it's a bit of a struggle going down to also 3 Buddy Poppins, just purely to get the space to work in. But I think more than ever, Manaphy is such a powerful card purely because of Kyurem, and Serendipity, more than enough, I think is one of the best sort of cards in this one. I think this deck nearly is absolutely perfect and pretty much exactly how I'm playing it right now. I really think Roxanne could in fact be cut by another sort of searching card, potentially even like another Buddy Poffin, but I generally think that this Zard build here is pretty much nearly the optimal way to play it from my testing right now, and I think a 2/2/1 of Dust Noir is very unique and could be the best way around for this one for the extra disruptability of what Charizard really has to offer. Now let's look at Regidrago, a deck which has kind of come out of nowhere to be very much hugely competitive in Standard, but also has contention to be one of the best decks to play in Expanded as well. So why is this deck so powerful? Well, it has obviously the new introduction of that Kyurem and Haxorus. Haxorus obviously gets to instantly KO the active Pokemon if they have a special energy attacks. And Kyurem, obviously, you don't need to worry about that very steep energy cost or even that amazing ability. You can only pretty much use that attack, discard your energies, and do 110 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon, which is very scary. What I like about the Hawlucha is Hawlucha works really well with Dragapult. Loads of these are really good basic Pokemon which evolve into the stage 2s have 70 HP. Hawlucha pretty much guarantees to make sure that that 6 damage counter basically is that 7th extra one that is really needed. One of the sacrifices I've noticed here is they have gone to only having 3 Ogerpons instead of the usual 4 copies of that one. But I still think they definitely get rewarded in this one by having heavy counts of the Earthen Vessel as well as also the energy switch as well. I also love the Super Scoop Up. I think that's a really good way to get instant healing up, especially that, and just throw down all those energies again to the Ogerpons and move them around for energy search. There is a lot of good things about this deck. You may notice as well, Giratina isn't really played this one, kind of like going over to have more of the Raging Bolt as a big one-hit KO potential. I like the Radiant Charizard as additional single prize attacking option to go through, so you're not too scared of likes of Mimikyu, so it's also Serendipity for that draw. You're going to see that in a lot of decks. I am a big fan of Regidrago, and definitely I feel like it's a deck which has kind of come out of nowhere, and people are realizing, oh, it's actually very powerful. And that's one thing which I'm quite excited to see about how the meta is actually going to slowly sort of progress. So let's look at Dragapult as well. And this is a very interesting Dragapult list. And I don't know how good this one is because it only plays 1 Mala and the double turbo, the upper Neo energy, but it does play a 1/1 line of Dust Noir with a Radiant Alakazam for moving some damage counters, as well as also placing them damage counters as well. This could generally be a really powerful strategy for Dragapult. Kind of spread loads of damage away that way and try and get these easy KOs around there. No, having TM Devo does seem a little bit treacherous because I think TM Devo will be such a good play for this Dragapult list, purely on the basis you're playing lots of spreading damage counters, you're already got to spread it here, and then you can instantly get some rewards and potentially take nearly all your prize cards that sort of way. I think Dragapult is still played a lot more in Japan than it should really be. I don't think it's as strong as it once was. A lot of people have said the best way to play Dragapult is in the likes of Red Drago, and we are really seeing that come time and time again, even in NAIC, even in Japan right now. This build may not be the best way to play it, but I think it's really unique of having Dust Noir as a good way to put some damage counters, potentially take additional prize cards that way, especially if you're spreading lots of damage counters around. Gardevoir as well. This one here is another really interesting take for Gardevoir. You still have the main sort of hitters, Double Monkey Dory, Klefki, Fluttermane, and Screamtail, and Drifloon. Sorry, yeah, but also a 2-on-1 line of Dusknoir, with including one rare candy. Now, one thing I really like about this one, it can also attack with these guys, but also get additional more damage that way around. You have Monkey Dory as well to spread some damage count as well, but it really opens up to the idea that TM Devo is such a powerful play. And that's one thing I absolutely love about this one. By making sure you're spreading lots of damage counters around with the likes of Dusclops and Dusknoir, TM Devo is a really good play. One thing I don't really like is the likes of Secret Box, but again, that's more discard effects, so you can kind of go around that would be Psychic Energies and Discard Pile, but you can kind of guarantee get your item card, pool card, stadium card as well as also your supporter of that term. I like the Lana as well as a guarantee another way to kind of get the Pokemon straight into the hand. So it's also super as well to constantly be reutilizing your likes of Dusknoir. You still are the classic Gardevoir approach with mainly being attacking with the likes of Drifloon and Screamtail, and have a really good destructive card like Klefki and Fluttermane, which can really show down the likes of Shien Pao, which I really could see playing as being a lot of players, whereas also the likes of Charizard. I think we could see this very interesting take of Gardevoir see some success, but I do think we should kind of like go back to the likes of the heavy ones, mainly using the Screamtail, but attacking more with the Monkey Dories and Fluttermane to be that more destructive Gardevoir. I think that's the best way to play this. Not exactly Dusknoir, but I really wanted to highlight about how creative some of the format is really trying to shape up over in Japan. Lost Box as well didn't really gain too many stuff, only really Antipathy and Night Stretcher, but those are such good cards for the deck. Having the likes of Antipathy, because you have very, very low HP Pokemon anyway, you always could get that, Pokemon's could get knocked out. So seeing 3 additional cards with no drawback is so powerful. I really like the likes of the Hassle and the Night Stretcher to try to bring back some Pokemon, or Hassle as well to potentially try and dig your deck just a little bit further to try and get those additional cards you might really require. I love the TM Devolution with the Monkey Dory and Sableye, so you have a lot of disruptive capability of this deck. And having the likes of the very heavy old switching cards and even the Mirage Gate. Mirage Gate can really power up the likes of Blood and Luna and Radiant Charizard, especially in the late sort of game, the early game as well, have this big threat of a ton of HP, which can be very difficult for your opponent to deal with, especially with the Magma base as well to help power up that Charizard. I really like Sablezard. I think it's in a really good position now, especially having another additional attacker, the likes of Blood Luna, and having the likes of Antipathy really does open up the deck so much better. Could this be the best way to play Lost Box? I generally think it could be, but Lost Box is kind of still being a little bit behind, and it's very scared of likes of Dusknoir and Dusclops for your opponent taking additional prize cards that sort of way. Shien Pao as well has also seen a little bit of success, and I think it's still very good, especially in my testing. I did a huge, really good testing session yesterday with my good friend Justin, and honestly, Shien Pao is very much up there being one of the best decks I've considered for Worlds. But this one isn't playing likes of the Iron Hands and stuff like that. No, it's going back to the Palkia. Palkia, I think, is a good inclusion for Shien Pao. Not only is it a way to kind of power up the likes of having a good secondary attacker, powering up your Shien Pao's attack, as well as also a Radiant Greninja, but also have a big HP buff. There isn't that many lightning decks as well. Most of the Lost Boxes are going to Sablezard, so Iron Hands isn't as much of a threat. Now, I guess Iron Hands is in the likes of Lugia, but you can still have a very good answer to that as well. I still love this sort of archetype around how it's being played, but it's long gone of the likes of the Iron Bundle, but having the return of the likes of Prime, Countercatcher and Manaphy could in fact be a good way to keep up into the game. I definitely think how I play Shien Pao recently, I think a Silene is a really good must. Try and like utilize more Countercatcher clones or even a Prime Catcher in a turn is really, really good. Manaphy I do like, especially if you are scared of the likes of Regidrago or even likes of Mirror Match or other sort of Lost Boxing decks. Potentially having a guaranteed protection is much stronger than potentially benching it a third Frigibax and hopefully it doesn't all get KO'd. So definitely something to be a bit more considerate about. But if Charizard and Gardevoir are one of the best of archetypes right now, I would say Shien Pao is definitely going to be in a good spot and gain some brilliant cards like Night Stretcher and Antipathy from Shrouded Fable. And Blocklax. Blocklax didn't really gain too many stuff except from the likes of the Xerosic, but I think it's still in a very good position. I think having Pokemon like Charizard, which only really plays 6 energies, 1 Chiro, and potentially the likes of a Palpad, or even a Team Steel, you are very good and disruptive. That's why Erie is so powerful and kind of have a very good matchup against this one. Mimikyu and Ogerpon are very good threats, especially against those ones I just talked about. The only way how Charizard decks can really go through this are having the likes of the what's it called, the Dusclops and Duskulls to Dust Noirs to try and like put them down counters that way and take additional prize cards that way, forcing them to take prize cards as well. So sometimes their Eries could be a little bit more devastating. I love the Crushing Hammer, especially with the teamed up with the likes of the handheld fan. So you have multiple avenues around to try and like disrupt the opponent, remove their energies, or move them around, which kind of is the best way to play this one. Pitch Up Control is definitely not played as much in Japan. We definitely know this. They definitely favour likes of block lags. So this could see a lot more play, especially if we're seeing more Raging Bolt and stuff, and Regidrago seeing more consistency, more play around this one. This deck is definitely a big, scary one to be considering about. And only gained not too many, one card from the Zerosic, but that is definitely a big disruptive card for this archetype. And let's look at some fun decks as well. Gholdengo. Gholdengo here has Dusknoir and Darkrai in this one. Why is this one potentially the best way to play Gholdengo? Well, for starters, I think the Dusknoir is a very good partner. It makes sure you don't need as many energies to get the one-hit KOs with like Silver Gholdengo. Putting that 5 damage counters around, that also helps in Mirror Match. It forces Gholdengo to kind of go back to the 70 HP one, because if they go with the better 550 HP Call for Family one, they instantly gain KO from like Silver Dusclops. But they can also get KOs from their opponent's Pidgeys, so it's also kind of like setting up the Gholdengo can these big one-hit KOs. Effectively, it's 1 energy less they need to kind of like have in their hand with their Dusclops, and Dusknoir is basically 2.5 energies less. So that's another very, very, very powerful thing about what Gholdengo now has to offer. Darkrai, because we can utilize some of these powerful supporters item cards again, especially with Silene and the likes of Prime Catcher as well. You could potentially use it back 3 times from using it once, getting back from Darkrai, and sliding it back up top of the deck. So you have 3 ways to kind of get Prime Catcher. So that's a really good gusting effect. That's why potentially gusting is a lot less than this one with only having 1 boss's orders, and just in order to kind of like clean up at the end. Not having Palkia kind of like stops you from playing that Radiant Greninja play, so it does open up the deck quite a bit. Is this actually a fun way to play Gholdengo? Potentially, and I'm really intrigued to see about how Gholdengo can kind of have the success by having the Darkrai and having the Dusknoir as a really good partner. And finally, let's look at Roy Moon. This has had quite a lot of talking to, and I've seen definitely on our sort of side, as well as also in Japan as well. I think it could be in a very good spot. I think we got a bit let down by the lower 3, with only the best one really being the likes of the Pheasantipity. The Okidoki and Munkidori aren't as strong, but the Petra and EX is still very, very powerful. Just for that switching effect, getting that bit of poison in there. So it's also kind of like can power Pokemon on the bench and instantly switch in one of your dark Pokemon. I love the Frostmane for the discarding, like the disruptive effect. And then you play obviously the Sada and you switch a Dark Patch, so you can effectively power up a Radiant Greninja as well for additional attacking option as well. Even having the likes of a Prime Catcher and the likes of Cancer Clone. This can be very aggressive with some of the draw with like Squawkabilly, Pokestop, and Mew, but you don't have that much as built on board thing. But there are a lot of stuff going for this deck. It's very fast, very aggressive, has a lot of HP. It can deal and get these big one-hit KOs constantly, turn after turn after turn. Could this be a brand new way to play this one? I love the one Baby Moon as another secondary attacking option. It's also a single prizer to go through some very scary decks. Plus, you also have access to Petra and even Pheasantipity as other attacking option. Yes, they may take a bit longer, but they also have some good options. Obviously, Petra can do pretty much 300 damage if the opponent has 1 prize card left, and Pheasantipity has 100 snipe. So effectively, Roy Moon could be the best way to play Dark going into this brand new format. So, kind of looking ahead, will we see the rise in Dusknoir in other decks? I think we definitely will be. We've seen it in Gholdengo, we've seen it in Dragapult, we've seen it in Gardevoir, we've seen it in Charizard. Could we see it in other decks, even decks which we might not even think about it? I could see Dusknoir appear in more and more decks or generate its own archetype on its own. It's so scary, so powerful, and generally one of the best new cards to pre-release in such a long time. Can anything stop Charizard? We've seen Charizard kind of like go turn after turn after turn, and it's so powerful. I don't think the likes of Shien Pao can definitely keep up with this one. If Block Lax is still going to be as strong, definitely is a good way around that one as well. There are some very much scary things which can really slow down Charizard, but potentially the likes of Shien Pao and Block could be the best way forward as well. And the most important one is Roy Moon back in the meta. I think so. I think Roy Moon is in a very, very good position. It's very, very strong, very powerful, and very fast. And Petron really adds additional switching effects. You have an instantly much better control matchup. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be back in a few days' time with some more shorts, as well as also working on my Charizard Dusknoir mastering video. If you guys are excited, don't forget to comment down below, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.